Picture a calm March night in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Streetlights flicker, dorm windows glow, and nothing seems out of place. Yet before sunrise, a brilliant senior named Eve Carson will vanish from her own living room, setting off a manhunt that will shake the whole of America. This is the true crime story of how one disappearance cracked open a shocking chain of clues, deceit, and cold-blooded violence. Eve Carson drew attention long before college. Born November 19th, 1985, in Athens, Georgia, she balanced student council leadership, congressional paging, laboratory research, and teen shelter volunteering, all before she could legally vote. By senior year at Clark Central High, teachers called her unstoppable, and scholarship boards agreed. The University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill welcomed her with open arms and full tuition. At UNC, Eve double majored in political science and biology, tutored at an elementary school, and squeezed in global health trips to Ecuador, Cuba, and Egypt. Her resume was more than impressive. It felt prophetic. Friends say Eve dreamed of launching a health policy career right after graduation, an offer from a Fortune 500 firm already in her pocket. Fast forward to March 5th, 2008. Eve, now 22, and sharing an off-campus house with close friends, chose books over beer. Around 1:30 a.m., her roommates headed to a party and begged her to tag along. Eve smiled, lifted her notes, and said she'd stay in and knock out tomorrow's class readings. Nothing unusual. Eve was a night owl, and finals were creeping closer. 2 hours later, her laptop logs show she was still studying, keystrokes time-stamped 3:30 a.m. At 4:30 a.m., the roommates returned. The scene sent a chill through them. Front door ajar, lights blazing, Eve missing, and her Toyota Highlander gone. They dialed her cell. No answer. Maybe she'd stepped out for coffee. Maybe an emergency study group. They waited and waited. Daylight broke. Eve was still gone. Unease curdled into dread. One roommate finally called 911 and reported their friend missing. "We might have related news," an officer warned. Just after 5 a.m., a woman living 1 mile from Eve's house had phoned police, rattled by 2 loud gunshots followed by a blood-curdling scream. Responding units had discovered a young woman's body on the asphalt. No ID, no purse, multiple bullet wounds. When investigators showed a morgue photo to Eve's roommate, she gasped, "That's Eve, body found 1 mile away." Key items missing: wallet, credit cards, cell phone, car. With robbery now the leading motive, forensic techs swept the area. No shell casings, no footprints, no phone. But they did find security camera coverage throughout town, and detectives knew ATMs often catch desperate thieves. Bank records told the next chapter. 3:48 a.m., just 18 minutes after Eve's final keystroke, her debit card spat out $700 at an ATM on the far side of Chapel Hill. Surveillance footage showed her Highlander idling. A man in the driver's seat leaned toward the keypad. Someone was in the back, shape blurred. Could it be Eve, forced at gunpoint? Within hours, her card pinged ATMs across town, failed withdrawals due to the daily limit, each machine without cameras, except that first one. While analysts enhanced the grainy video, patrol officers located Eve's SUV, abandoned near a neighborhood park. Inside, scattered receipts, a half-empty water bottle, and latent fingerprints ready for the lab. UNC student slain, killer at large. Parents phoned children, residents double-bolted doors. Tip lines exploded with calls, each desperate voice offering a possible suspect or strange sighting. Yet none pushed the investigation forward, until the card was swiped again. March 7th, 12:30 a.m., Eve's card attempted another withdrawal at a 24-hour convenience store in a neighboring town. This store had clearer CCTV. Detectives rushed the footage and froze the playback. Different driver, same stolen card. The mystery deepened. Was the original carjacker working with an accomplice, or had he passed the card to someone else? Investigators released both images to local media and asked viewers, "Do you recognize these men?" Calls poured in, but one tip changed everything. On March 12th, an anonymous caller whispered a name, DiMario Atwater. Background checks painted a chilling portrait: armed robbery, assault, drug offenses, and a pending court date for carrying a handgun while on probation. Detectives compared his mugshot with the convenience store footage and saw an undeniable match. They moved fast. Atwater lived blocks from that store, and by evening, he sat cuffed in an interrogation room, denying everything, yet unable to dodge the camera's eye. Detectives sat opposite DiMario Atwater, mugshot glowing on the monitor. Evidence felt airtight, yet he coolly repeated, "I was not there." Officers pressed, looping the ATM footage on a screen inches from his face. Sweat formed, but no confession spilled. Still, the arrest unlocked the cases next door. Pulling Atwater's call logs, analysts flagged dozens of late-night pings with 17-year-old Lawrence Lovette, another name steeped in juvenile robbery reports. The kicker? Both phones hit a tower barely 500 yards from Eve Carson Street between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. Geographic data tied the two men to the neighborhood right when Eve disappeared. Officers rolled to Lovette's home. The teen saw them coming, slammed the door, and barricaded himself behind furniture.
New details in the kidnapping death of former University of North Carolina student body president Eve Carson. Carson was found dead March 5th, lying in the middle of a Chapel Hill residential street. The 22-year-old Athens, Georgia resident was last seen by her roommates late that evening doing homework. Friday, police released search warrants for the first time that might describe the final terrifying moments of her life. Authorities say the documents helped lead them to arrest 17-year-old Lawrence Lovette and 22-year-old DiMario Atwater, both of whom have been charged with first-degree murder. One warrant says a confidential source told police that Atwater said he and Lovette entered Carson's home through an open door. Then they forced the young woman into her car and headed to an ATM machine, where they allegedly made Carson give up her PIN number to withdraw money from her bank account. Police believe the suspect stole $1,400 over 2 days. The source went on to say that both Atwater and Lovette shot Carson, a story that officials say adds up because 2 weapons were used. The new information contradicts the original account of the slaying, which police believe to have been a random carjacking. Lawyers for the accused are blasting the judge's decision to release the documents, saying they just want the legal system to do its job and avoid any rush to judgment. Sophia Manos, The Associated Press.
Lovette chose a gamble. Full jury trial. Defense tried pinning the murder solely on Atwater, claiming the teen was a hostage too. But cell phone data, fingerprints, and especially Atwater's sworn confession stacked high. Jury deliberated 4 hours, guilty on all counts. Judge imposed life without parole, the harshest penalty allowed for a juvenile at the time. In 2013, North Carolina's Court of Appeals triggered a legal aftershock. Citing a U.S. Supreme Court ruling on juvenile sentencing, the panel declared automatic life without parole for minors excessively harsh. Lawrence Lovette's verdict, just 2 years old, was overturned. Headlines screamed, "Campus killer wins retrial." The black and white communities, equally stunned, filled comment boards with anger, empathy, and raw debate about second chances. Lovette marched back into court that fall, freshly suited, proclaiming, "Everybody makes mistakes. I'm not the monster you think." Prosecutors reassembled the digital tower hits, fingerprint maps, and Atwater's unshakable confession. Jurors reheard how Eve's "pray with me" plea met 2 searing gun blasts. After deliberation, they reconvicted Lovette, handing him life in prison, parole now possible at 25 years per the new statute. The victim's mother whispered, "Justice bends," but it didn't break. Outrage over Eve's killing sparked bipartisan action. In February 2009, lawmakers drafted the North Carolina Street Gang Suppression Act, a bill bolstering sentences for gun crimes tied to gang activity and tightening probation loopholes that once let Atwater roam free. The law went live December 1st, 2009, hailed by true crime watchdogs as a direct answer to the Carson tragedy. Community leaders noted the statute's dual aim: protect citizens and steer at-risk youth toward prevention programs. University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill transformed grief into growth. Trustees planted the Eve Carson Memorial Garden beside Polk Place, a quiet grove where students of every race sit, reflect, and leave blue and white roses. The university also launched the Eve Marie Carson Scholarship, a full-ride award for juniors who mirror her service-first spirit. Every spring, finalists tour Athens, Georgia, meeting Eve's family and absorbing the tragedy's human weight before accepting the honor. February 2009, an American Idol episode beamed Eve's legacy into living rooms nationwide. Contestant and close friend Anup Desai told millions that her death pushed me to chase this dream. Each speech ends the same. Live as Eve lived, curious, courageous, community-minded. DiMario Atwater, inmate number 071687, serves life plus 30 at Central Prison Raleigh. Records show 0 visitation in 5 years, sentence reviews denied. Lawrence Lovette, inmate number 110406, logs GED tutoring hours while awaiting first parole hearing in 2030. Victim impact letters already on file promise fierce opposition. Chapel Hill Police Department added permanent cold case funding, staffing a 4-detective unit thanks to Federal Victims of Crime Act dollars, another ripple of the Carson case. More than a decade later, Eve's story still ranks on Google under College Student Murder Cases, Campus Crime North Carolina, and Scholar Activist Legacy. Her friends say she'd hate being remembered for how she died, but love being remembered for how she lived, lifting people, studying tirelessly, crossing cultural lines with empathy. If this narrative moved you, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell, because Murder We Heard TV drops a new deep dive every night, each crafted for maximum insight and respect. Like, share, and keep the comment section thoughtful. As always, stay sharp, stay vigilant. Eve Carson's light reminds us that one life can shape laws, scholarships, and hearts long after the candles burn out.